So I'm not going to shout out whose name this was because based on what this actual message was that was sent to me, I know YouTube is not favorable when we take shits on the IWC, so we'll go anonymous here. But this IWC take says, Ricky Saints sounds like a gay porn star, man. You and the WWE fans are so subordinate. They tell you anything they want and you eat it all up. This is a jobber name, Nerdy D. First off, my guy, terrible take. Secondly, the fuck are you talking about, bro? Start with the fact. Just start with the simple fact that Ricky picked the name. He picked the name based on a strong connection to his hometown. WWE doesn't always have some crooked agenda. I know that is the biggest talking point for the IWC is that WWE they always have to have some crooked agenda. They don't want Ricky Starks making money off his name. They wouldn't give him enough percentage of the sales. There is a world. There's a possibility that they just sat down, talked it out, and they both came to the idea, let's leave the past in the past, let's give you a new name, and let's start fresh in NXT. That is completely a possibility. But this reality, man, this guy has ties to New Orleans. This guy's going to be big. He's going to be big in New Orleans. And where do we go about 365 days? Oh, that's right. WrestleMania is going to be in New Orleans next year. So they're setting this character up for success. We get about 6 months of Ricky Starks in NXT. We bring him up to the main roster right around the time of WrestleMania next year, and he picks up an IC or United States Championship win. He's being set up to win. And Ricky Starks is the kind of guy who benefits from a strong gimmick. The whole fucking hand to the face and the things he does, he plays well, really leaning into the New Orleans vibe. This is going to fit who he is as long as they package it with the right music and the right entrance and they give him the right opportunities. I promise you, my guy, 3 weeks from now, you won't remember who Ricky Starks was. 3 weeks from now, Ricky will just be known as Ricky Saints, and that will be that. The problem is, this is the problem for a lot of AEW fans. And unfortunately, I'm going to lump in some of the NXT fans into this boat because NXT fans tend to be a tighter, small-knit community that while I would say they're more reasonable than the IWC, the NXT crowd still tends to have some tribalism towards NXT. And this small group just doesn't realize they're not able to grasp the bigger picture that most casual wrestling fans don't know who Ricky Starks is. So we're all being introduced to Ricky whatever for the first time. And when you put the name Ricky Starks next to the name Ricky Saints, the name Ricky Saints evokes more emotional imagery than Ricky Starks, as crazy as that sounds, because your emotional attachment comes from his time in AEW. When you just put the two names next to each other, Ricky Saints definitely gives off New Orleans vibes. That's just the reality. And you got to look at the past. Look at Gunther, right? I remember all of the freak out from the IWC when they changed from Walter and they made Gunther. But here's the problem, man. For guys like me and most of the other casual wrestling fans, we didn't know who Walter was. I had no history with Walter. And I will tell you that the name Gunther, it evokes strength and emotion. It is, as weird as it sounds, Gunther gives off kind of a Bond villain vibe. While the name Walter, that gives off guy who works at Best Buy in the Geek Squad and fixes computers. The reality is they made the right change at the right time. As shocking as it was to everybody who knew him as Walter, the reality was in the long run, when he's introduced to that bigger casual fan base, that old name's not gonna matter. That's just the reality of what it is. Rusev became Miro, right? Aleister Black became Malachi Black. Name changes just aren't as important as the IWC wants you to believe they are. The important part is bringing the gimmick together and performing, and I think Ricky Saints is going to work. Like I said, it's already, as I say the name Ricky Saints, it's already starting to stick with me, and I'm completely sold on the name. He will be a spectacle when they go to New Orleans. When WWE rolls into New Orleans, Ricky Saints will be a spectacle. He will be a feature. He will be a prominent part of WrestleMania 42. Mark my words. This is long-term, smart booking and storytelling. The IWC hate it, right? Once again, because WWE, instead of doing what appeases the IWC, they make decisions based on what's best for business. And that's not just the business of WWE, but they also, I believe, look at it from Ricky Stark's standpoint. And I promise you, like I said, come back in a month and no one will be talking about the name Starks anymore. You won't be talking about it. I can promise you. Let's drop into the fourth and final take from the Discord, and we'll close the show out.